So yeah, this is the one that I figured it would be the third or fourth story we talk about, but this is the one that has got everybody kind of up in arms this week. It was a massive headline from The Verge, but also in Wired, but it was all covered by a bunch of other places. So if you have Signal or Telegram or WhatsApp, something that has end-to-end encryption on it, you might think that your communications are private, but you get a push notification every time something comes in, right? And most people have the contents of the message or even the images in the message show up in that push notification.
Wait, so even when it shows like you have 4 messages,
Yeah.
that's what, wow.
So
but if it doesn't notify you, it's just showing it's still there. So does it have to notify you?
all that goes through a central server that is not end-to-end encrypted. And police have a variety of options for spying on those push notifications.
It's a good thing that you don't do anything wrong.
Right. Well, if you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be worried by this news.
I hate to disrupt it, but we're going to.
Okay.
I just pitched something the other day. I was talking to my sister, and we were talking about interviews. And I said, I know how to figure out if somebody's a good worker or a bad one. I have the perfect foolproof plan. It's just nobody would ever do it. I need your phone for 5 minutes. We talked a little bit about this because I can look at your activity. I can look at what you've sent, the quality of your messages, what kind of apps you have, how much time you spent, whether or not you're sleeping. There's so much that's available. Now, you would never let somebody do this because, of course, so how do you solve it? What if I took your phone, but then you got the hiring manager's phone to look at for 5 minutes as well? So you could see, is this a jerk? Is this the communications? Is he spending his time playing Candy Crush? So you'd make your decisions, and then we wiped your mind Men in Black style at the end. So you make the choice.
But you have to like write down like your one-word summary or something.
Yes or no.
Yeah, yes or no.
Yes or no, so that you can actually see someone, because in that case...
I would say not his phone, not the hiring manager's phone, his Slack or company communications. Like I want to see like the last 5 emails, 10 emails. I want to see how he talks about his employees.
That actually would be...
Or how he talks about the
I'm
clients.
assuming that's all on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm going to see when he wakes up.
We don't need resumes anymore. I've just been going about this the wrong way.
We talked about this yesterday with it. The whole point of a resume is it's a focal point, it's a gift, it's a starting point for a conversation. And the point of the interview is to build an affinity with the manager. So it's not really screening, which is what we think it's for.
So now it's resume and phone.
No one's ever going to give you your phone. This is just my fevered fantasy dream. If I had mental powers and could wipe people's minds, I think they'd be happier. Honestly, didn't relationships? Should I break up with this girl? Should I marry her? Let me see your phone.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Selective. Okay,
but then you have to wipe it afterwards.
Yeah.
You have to wipe it afterwards. Otherwise, and you have to believe that that's all on one phone. They can't have one good phone and one bad one.
So you're saying that any notification we get on our phone, whether it's a message, a Instagram, a Slack, or an email, they can just see our, like, what is that going to, like, our behavior? Or
well, so it depends on where in the stack that they get it. So if you have spy, so there's a variety of ways they can get it, and some of it requires a warrant and some of it doesn't.
Okay.
Some of it, like if law enforcement cares enough about what's going on in your life to like spearfish you, put spyware on your phone, that requires a warrant because that's specifically tapping access to a phone. However, they, as we discussed, I think it was last week on the show, they simply buy data in a variety of ways, and sometimes there's just info sharing agreements that don't require a warrant. So if law enforcement asks for it really nicely, they'll say yes. And because push notifications are pushed from a centralized server, a ping server that's run by Google or iOS, Apple, depending on which phone you have, there is a centralized server where all those data points.
So
can
those
be
5 notifications
tapped.
from my Chevrolet.
Yes,
they could read whatever came in from there, even though it's
right.
Because it's not just telling me there's notification. There's enough data in there to.
Well, when you pull down the tray and you see like the contents of the notification, that's available.
Fascinating.
And oftentimes the full message is available. Like if you're talking about Signal, if you don't have it turned off with like privacy mode,
Right.
You know, the whole message is going to be there in the push notification.
This is why I don't do push
This
notifications.
is so
Because they annoyed me, but that's
disturbing. It's so
yeah. Because if they
disturbing.
can do it, other people can as well. I see a blossoming industry with
You're
businesses
really,
and I mean, we do background checks. Now let's start looking into their phones. I know you were on Snapchat.
I mean, we're already things are being seen. Like we tell student athletes all the time. Like your coach is looking at your social media
Yeah,
to see
scouts,
how you're
schools.
behaving, the words you're using, the pictures you're taking.
Well,
So
look what
it's-
happened in
it's
Harvard.
the same thing.
When the
Yeah.
Hamas demonstrations, and then all of a sudden people were like, "There's a guy driving a truck around with the names of all the people who signed it." Like you think, "Oh, I just signed something in school, and now your name's on a truck," and law schools are saying we're not going to hire you ever because
Yeah.
your name is on the even you didn't know what
Yeah.
you're signing. You're like, "Go away," or you could be actually signing it. So all that stuff is in social has been looked at,
Yeah.
and the warnings just don't seem to hit people. Like we've known for years you get fired for this stuff, and now, I mean, how long ago was that? Who was that woman who's doxxed? Not doxxed. Who was the one in South Africa? She made the joke on the plane.
Oh, that was a long time. It was
Yeah.
a PR gal.
That was like 2009.
She made a
What
joke on
joke?
Twitter. So this, I don't even remember all the details.
She said, "I just landed in South Africa. Hope I don't get AIDS."
Yeah.
Oh
So it was a fly.
my
Ha 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 ha. I'm
No,
fine.
I just but then she
And then
got
it-
on a plane for like 20 hours, a
So by the
transatlantic
time
flight.
she got back, there's no deleting it. And the world was like,
She had already been canceled
yeah,
at that point.
This was before canceled was a thing.
Imagine
She is now a
on-
case study
en
at-
route.
Well, I mean, it's a stupid thing to write, but people try to be
She
clever.
wrote it on something.
She wrote
or
it on
she
Twitter.
said it.
It was a
She
tweet.
wrote it on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, people, I can't believe anything. You look at these, everything's so staged. And half the things you hear about on TikTok were on YouTube or Twitter or
I mean,
Facebook
like
15
even
years
with
ago.
even with what's going on right now, it's like I even noticed myself like responding to people that can actually really upset you on social media, and I'd be like, ugh, I probably shouldn't have replied that way
Yeah.
because it's gonna stick, and then you realize, oh, this was a bot. This wasn't even a
Oh,
human
God.
being, and like now I completely just argue with a bot. Like,
Oh, that sucks.
But it's there, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
everything that's happening right now is based on emotion. People are angry. People are scared.
Emotional
people are,
reasoning.
Yeah, and it's bad, and I am guilty of it. I'm not gonna play
Well,
that
it's an
I
emotional
am, but
contagion, too.
you had to I had to really step back for a second and be like, you can't even bother me anymore, because this is not even between us. This is way
I had
bigger
to block
than us.
people.
Yeah.
Not just people. For me, if I see someone saying something that just I want to speak to.
Yeah.
So if Mark always likes to talk about the Social Security Fund, and I can't help myself. I end up 4 hours a day arguing with him about the
offensive,
Social
Mark.
Security Fund.
Jeez.
So
I would block Mark so that I no longer would, because it's
Yeah.
not his fault.
No, you're right. I
It's
had
my
to.
fault.
I had
Because I
to.
wanted to fix my algorithms too, so that you're
Yeah.
not. It's like when politics came, and you say one thing about a presidential candidate, and the problem is the engagement drives that. That's all you end up seeing.
Yeah.
So just to
Yeah.
clean your
And
feet up.
honestly, the last 65 days has been absolute. Like you're in this realm of, and you're constantly like, I had to turn off my notifications because I'm constantly looking at it, but at the same time, it's like,
But what
we are-
notifications do you even really need? Like what's
you
so
don't
important?
need any notification. I mean, I know I need my messages and phone notifications because I have children. I want to make sure I'm accessible, but everything else, like, there's a designated time to check your email. There's
Right.
like, you know what I mean? It really shouldn't even be
It's an
on
important
like
part
that.
of mental health. Everyone's
Yeah.
cutting it out, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting an Apple Watch just for that, because I look at the phone too much.
It's actually annoying.
Just for-
I don't wear my watch.
I don't want any of the buzzing or the other nonsense, though.
It's just too much. Because if say your phone's put away in the purse, you're getting notifications on you, and so you're
Well, I don't
actually
turn the
forced.
notifications on. I want to.
I had a first gen smartwatch. It was like a Sony or Samsung or something, maybe. But I remember first one that had it, and I was in meetings and doing interviews, and I'd be constantly looking at
Yeah.
my watch, and they're like, "Do you have to go
Yeah.
somewhere?"
While
Yeah.
watching them
Yeah.
snap.
Yeah.
It's like a shock that they're getting.
Yeah.
Especially
Like
if you
those
have
things on
idiots
the dog.
friends who like 30 different things on the.
I refuse to get a watch now because they're all smart watches and they're all annoying to me. Like, I don't need it.
I want the music.
If I want
and
to
I
know
want
what
the
time it is,
ability
I'll
to
just
check
look like
it.
this.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want one.
You want
so I don't go to the
control.
apps.
Yeah. You
I don't
want
doom scroll
control.
if I'm bored. That's the.
Yeah.
'Cause there's no good doom scrolling anymore. Everybody's so I think there is a dead internet.
So-
But I think we created it.
So here's why I say the Twitter format itself is the best format for social media. If you're
Wait,
going
are
to
you
have
going to say something nice about Twitter?
I've been on it since 2006. So I do like the idea of Twitter, and that's why I'm an advocate of Mastodon, because it is Twitter but decentralized. But the idea that you can't do this effectively on Threads, you can't do it at all on Instagram or on Facebook. Mute keywords. And so anytime there's a latest thing that gets under my skin, like your Social Security example, for real world examples, like right now, like I've got every keyword related to the Middle East conflict muted. Israeli, Hamas, Palestinians, like same thing I did during the election after Trump was elected. I just didn't want to hear either side of it. I elected President Trump, because you get that way you get the idiots who agree with you and the idiots that you don't agree with all muted. You don't get sucked into the pointless debates with the bots.
Yeah.
I hate to jump in on this,
But
Mark,
there's also-
but I've had Elon Musk muted as a keyword since before he bought Twitter.
Same.
Wow.
Same. Just because that it attracts the wrong type of engagement on my feed. I don't want to see it.
But the thing is, like, so I agree with you to a certain extent, just for our mental health and sanity. But the issue of, like, we're kind of selectively, we know what's going on. I guess it is a form of protection.
But I know there's a conflict. I can just seek out the info that I want.
Exactly. And so this is what I'm saying is, like, it's different for other people who don't know.
Right.
And it's messy because everything on social media is, you know,
Short,
if you're
between
not
15
following the
seconds.
journalists, if you're not following, like, the news, not even the news, we don't even trust the news at this point. If you're not following credible sources, you are not getting the information you need. So it's like right now social media has been the outlet for people to really understand what's really going on over there, and they're seeing it. There's no more of you can't hide anything right now.
Yeah, but it won't be long for. We already know that there's faking going on.
There's
on
a
both
lot
sides.
of
and it
things
doesn't have the high
going
quality
on
that we're seeing from some of the other stuff. How long before?
That's what I'm saying.
I do have to say,
go to the
though,
credible
citizen
sources.
journalism is becoming more and more prevalent. And like Dina's saying, it's people on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat, like, reporting live from the scene.
That's
Yeah.
not citizen journalism.
But
That's voyeurism.
prevalent is that itself is a vulnerability, because as I've observed for the last 2.5 years of the hot part of the Ukrainian invasion, that citizen journalism is exceedingly easy to fake,
Yep.
and the Russians are masters at it. And
I
any
would-
For 100 years, they've been good
I
at
would
it.
still say go to the credible sources.
But what's
so
the credible
if you
source?
have a journalist on the ground, literally giving you visuals and videos, pictures
They
of
used to
everything.
fake that during the Gulf War. They'd fake it during hurricanes where Anderson Cooper stands in a ditch.
I think right
and goes,
now-
"We're flooded,"
Yeah.
and then he walks out and it's with a half an inch of water. I mean, they've been faking that for so long.
There's things that are being faked. So what I'm saying is social media is a tool to reach the masses that we're not getting the truth about either side.
That was the
either
pitch.
side.
That was the pitch when we first started. The problem is they learned very quickly that all those independent people are easily bought. So that was the problem with grassroots
got
at a
that.
certain
We
point.
got that, but
you'd have people start, and then they're getting money from someone to push it because you
it
can't
is-
do it for forever.
Just like
So they
we
became
said, their
poorly paid
resume.
journalists.
Just like we said, their resume is a bullet point
Right.
sheet, an introduction. It's the same setup. People are getting an introduction to go do their own research, to go find other
But
resources.
they don't know
just
how
like
to,
we were
to
discussing.
research. They don't know how to research. They don't.
Who
they
doesn't know how to research? You don't know how to go to history books and read?
Put 100 people in a room, and I bet you 95 don't have the basic idea of what research really means.
Are we talking about age or
They go to
generations?
Google and look
or-
at the first two links.
We can't. No.
Or they go to
we
Facebook
can't-
and see what somebody says. I had a buddy who used to look at Facebook and then go and see if the article was true because it was on CNN. I'm like, that's not research. That's
Exactly.
called verification that it's not
But
fake.
That you made my point. So it goes back to now we're seeing a lot of so everything on social media we're saying can be faked. So CNN has been doing that. The Western media has been doing that. Either sides over there has been doing that. We got that. But when we say research, you still got to go find your credible sources. So if you really want to know what's going on, you're gonna do and it's This didn't start in 2018.
I don't disagree
didn't
with you.
start
I'm just
October
saying that
7th.
I covered the media for a long time. I was in it. I pushed stories. I know how it works. I don't know what a credible source is anymore.
So the
I don't trust it. The only credible source
Exactly.
is a reporter who got fired for like 6 months as they tried to be independent. That's about the only time anyone's credible anymore, because
So
they need
we
money.
go-
There's leaning. There's
That's why we at The Merge support independent journalism. Give us a follow.
Yeah. Well, so here's
But it
the
just
type.
goes back
so
to-
there is certain types of journalists that I think that you can say are credible because you know how they're motivated, right? It's a new form of media literacy that we need to make sure people understand, right?
really hard, though. It takes time.
Absolutely. But like there's some basic stuff that you can take away from old school journalism. There are practices that some independent journalists do where they will double source stuff versus
If your mother tells you that she loves you, you better get 2 more sources to prove it. That was the old standard.
versus people that like to screenshot other social media platforms like Telegram or Instagram and call that a source. That's not a source. That's something that you saw that you may think agrees with what your point of view is and you want to promote it, right? But that's not necessarily a source. That's not journalism.
Right.
That's reporting on something that's thinly sourced, right? So there are independent journalists out there, some better than others, that are good at hunting down supporting evidence for the things that they're going to say.
Right.
Name
one.
I don't. We can depends on what sector we're talking about. So
Name
this
15.
This is what. Yeah, name 15. Yeah, I'd be hard pressed. But the other thing that we
the
can
debate the other night.
Well, the other thing
It
that
was brilliant. Vivek says name 3.
Right.
Which is hard to do on its own. You could just say the Don Badger. Name 3. Whenever you want to make someone doubt or make them look dumb, pick a number. Oh yeah, you know a lot of people. Name 6.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. It's just
You're,
6. It's just
you're
6
a fan of
people.
Star Wars? Name 20 movies.
That's basically that.
So the other thing that I think is important to like for the modern media literacy is to understand how they're paid, right?
Right.
So people that are paid by traditional ad impressions are always going to be there to manipulate you to be upset or angry or sad or some emotion.
Even if the reporter's good, the editor and the person running the online site
Right.
needs to change it because
Or-
it's the headlines that people read. They don't dig into it.
Whereas like industry news, if they are if they're ad supported, it means they're always going to be reporting strictly on things that you have heard of before, because that's the only thing people are going to click on. Whereas if they're industry news and they're industry supported, like underwriting, then they may have a perspective to talk about things that are less boring, and then you have to figure out, okay, are they supported by one group of people or one specific company, or is it like a pass the tin cup around, get like a whole industry to support this thing? It's a complex way to digest media. We don't have just, okay, this type of person is good, this type of person is bad. You know, CNN good, Fox bad doesn't exist anymore. New York Times bad, or New York Times good, Post bad. That paradigm is gone. You have to be literate into like what motivates good and bad writing and journalism and reporting. Otherwise, you're going to be wrong by whatever you know. You're going to be wrong because you're going to be trusting bad people.
Well, that's been the argument for years. We're not informed, we're misinformed. Reading the news, reading social makes you misinformed on so many topics because people don't take the time to learn. Like they don't have the history books. They change them on
I think
on
the
the
most
fly.
important thing when there's a conflict like this is to try to understand both sides, and then
That gets so dangerous.
it is
The
dangerous.
second
but
you say that, someone starts screaming at you. Yeah.
you got, I mean, again,
Rationally,
I'm guilty
logically,
of it. I'll be like,
powerful.
but
Yeah,
now
I mean,
you look at history, you look at numbers, you look at statistics, you look like there's a lot of layers that can help you make your own decision instead of being influenced by.
I just don't see how the average person has the time on anything,
Well,
on
that's the
sports,
thing. That's the thing.
on medicine,
That's the
on
thing. They
politics.
don't have the time, and that's what's hurting us as a people.
But okay, but like, this is a topic. This is the
its
same
own topic.
same thing that I've always said about social media. It's broken. Massive social media networks don't work.
Right.
They don't work from a business perspective, and they don't work from an information consumption
We love them
perspective.
because we were early adopters and they were small. So as
Right.
they got big, we're like, oh, this is crap.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not just because we're snobs about things that are too cool, right? Or too popular, no longer cool. No, but like whenever you have a small social network, like a Mastodon-sized server or something like that, you have the ability to know who is saying what on the server. Oh, that's George. He always says the world's coming to an end. Let's take that with
Yeah.
a grain of salt. But
It's like your group chats.
Mark doesn't,
How many group chats have you kept for years and they're funny and you're bonding with those people because you're on the group chat? That's a small social network.
Right.
It's fascinating. That will actually get you closer than most people in your life because every day you're getting your notifications. Now the police are reading it, kind of bring it back to us. So hopefully no criminals there.
I don't know. I'm on the fence of, I mean, now we're able to connect with a lot of people around the world. So it's a disadvantage and an advantage, but at the same time, it's also broken the systematic way of media where we
Right.
can't, like, we can actually talk about this. We're not being told what to think. But we are.
Yeah.
We're not being told what to think. We're being manipulated into thinking in a
Yes,
certain
And
way.
so
but it is still up to the individual to figure out how to get to the truth.
Very
Yeah.
difficult.
And it's very difficult because
can't even
everything
agree on
moves
truth.
now. Yeah.
So
That was a wide-ranging discussion. I thought.
we've solved. I think we've solved
It's-
world peace with that one. Let's move on to the next
it's
topic.
difficult.
Small social networks
Small social
run by
networks.
Dina.
Run by Dina. Yeah, Dina, you're in charge of all social networks from now on.
If you could just,
No, I
you
don't
could
want
tell
that
people.
responsibility. I'm good.
Okay.
I don't think you could pay me enough for
That's why
that.
he's like, you should be a journalist. No, I don't want to be a journalist because you don't want to.
Speaking of free, unfettered speech from a large-scale social network, Grok is out.
It's not. They keep saying it is, but I can't seem to.
Well,
get it.
I've seen some interactions, so it's out in some sort
It's
of
not
limited
a
way.
road to everybody, even
Yeah.
though they said it was.
Right. This was on Web3 Radio yesterday. Mark and I were talking about Grok. I think it's gonna. My prediction before seeing it was going to be out of the box racist, based primarily off of the last time an AI was trained off of Twitter data. It was Microsoft Tay in 2016. I want to say 16-hour experiment.
Is that the fire alarm?
That is the fire alarm.
Should we go to
We
a
might-
technical difficulties here for
Yes,
a second?
please.
A lot of stuff just happened over the break. My
Yeah.
my wife just sent me someone hit my car apparently.
Oh no.
The one parked in your driveway.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Maybe it happened.
That sounds like a teenager.
Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. So fire, they're just testing the fire alarms. We're still alive.
There
Fun.
was no fire.
No fire.
And then the backup.
No warning either. More of this, please.
Can you?
Safe to.
I imagine this is streaming on LinkedIn right now.
Yeah.
With the
Is it
technical
really?
difficulties and
Everybody, it's okay. Everybody needs a break.
Like I literally asked the dude, "Hey, are we done?" And he just kind of like walked past me and whatever. We'll find out. So where were we talking about AI, right? So Grok, the last time someone was trained on Twitter data, 16 hours later it was a raging racist and Microsoft had to pull the experiment. But now Grok is trained on all of Twitter's data as well as like live updates to it, and it's not out of the box racist, I would say. According to most early reports, it's unfunny and try hard, and about as good as maybe a weak 3.
Grok. 'Cause-
What's going on with
Yeah,
Grok?
we need. I think for like individuals that don't really understand how, like the backstory of what's going on.
So, I mean, Elon bought Twitter, renamed it to X,
Right.
said I'm going to do a whole bunch of cool stuff to it. One of those cool things is I'm going to create an AI that uses all of the corpus of Twitter's data and everything that's live and updated to it to make it an up-to-date, uncensored, free speech AI with no safety rails. Which honestly, like, I don't like a lot of the safety rails stuff that happens with ChatGPT. It creates some hilariously stupid restrictions on things from time to time.
Okay.
Like if you ask it to summarize an article about like what's going on in Israel or in Palestine, it will often just error out or glitch out because it's touched some invisible topic that's against the rules. If you ask it, sometimes, in fact, Zoe, the one that created the Aurora bot, Jim,
Right.
she had a version that was based on Aurora that sometimes it would just, one of those custom GPTs that would just violate the rules itself. So your conversation would get canceled by
Right.
something the AI said, not whatever you said.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was playing with the other day.
But you're playing with Grok right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, it had a fun mode, and it didn't tell me. I asked it for a list of recruitment advertising experts, and it was good for the first 4, and then basically went off the rails, and it showed you the tweets. So it's literally just doing a keyword search. So it is not. Now, granted, maybe it doesn't know. Maybe that was too obscure, but you would think that that would be if that's all they're doing is searching tweets.
Yeah, that we had a search bar for that.
All right, but it looks like search and then bringing the Twitter stuff in place. I was tell me this: why is it when it's creating images, it can't seem to spell anything right? What's up with that?
So it's just it's the way it is trained on things. The way so you remember the old TensorFlow Android dreaming stuff that came out like 15 years ago.
No.
You might.
You read about Tensor dreaming 15 years
No,
ago?
I'm trying to kind of think about this Grok thing.
Okay,
Because
so
there's a lot to be said about it.
So, like, whenever you go into one of those old image editing apps on your phone, it's like, make this look like the tidal wave painting from the front of the wave by Pearl S. Buck, or make this look like Van. Should we just like send a bill to the company for the studio time?
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
So like, you know, those filters that you use that make it look like certain artist made it.
Right.
That's
Oh my God.
all right. Like they keep screwing around with us, so we're just gonna close out the show. We're gonna try again next week. You know, come back for that. If you're still watching after this, why?
Yeah.
But if
There's
you
something wrong with you.
Yeah, it's not on us, it's on you. So anyway, come see you next week. Hey, thanks for watching the merge. We've got a ton more stuff for you to watch on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Check us out.